This week on the Rutledge Perspective, let's talk a little bit about counting on yourself. It is the beginning of Mental Health Awareness Month in 2022, and this idea of being able to count on yourself is an important one as we go through just life in general, but definitely as we think through the challenges around mental health that have come even further into the forefront as a result of the pandemic. And started thinking about this just because, as you guys know, it's been a crazy couple of weeks, but also because I was getting ready for a hair appointment. And because you see, it's all twisted up, summertime, so I had to get my hair twisted. And there was a delay in the appointment, so I decided to stop by Barnes & Noble, and I love a good bookstore, and was just browsing around and thought, well, maybe I'll find something. And I found this book, and the book is called Call Me Chef, Damn It, and it's by Chef Andre Rush. And I had kind of heard about him just in passing, but not really, delve deep into it. But there was something about the book that made me get it. And on top it says, A Veteran's Journey from the Rural South to the White House. And so I started reading this book, and it's a very good book. And I got through actually half of it in my appointment and finished the last half last night before I'm recording this podcast. And there are parts of it that are pretty dark, depending on where your head is. But he has some really good nuggets. And one of those is, and I want to read this quote to you that he had in his book. When you count me out, you discredit my mindset. You discredit my drive. You discredit my ability to succeed. You discredit my resiliency and my passion. And that's about midway through the book that he says that. And I thought, wow, that's pretty deep. Because in the context of leadership, so those of you who are in a leadership position where you're at a company doing some things for people, that idea of discrediting, right? When you discredit me, when you dismiss me, when you say that I am less than, right? By the way you act, you discredit my mindset, you discredit my resiliency. And all of those things are true. And we have to be very, very careful when we are in leadership positions that we are not negating people, not discrediting people, or not making them feel less worthy, less capable, less valuable because of our actions. And so a lot of his book talks about his military career and some of the things around rank and file and all of that kind of stuff, which those of us who have not served may understand because somebody explains it to us, but if we haven't lived it, we don't know the depth of that. And yet, as I was reading it, I'm like, that same kind of stuff happens in corporate. People who are leading based on ego or leading based on position versus leading based on behavior. So I kept thinking about that and kept reading this book. And then as I started thinking about Mental Health Month and how critical it is that we take care of ourselves, and reflecting on my week last week and how tough a week it was, I thought, yes, we need to have people count on us because none of us gets through this life alone. None of us does. But even more important than that is we have to be able to count on ourselves. We have to go into a situation knowing who we are and whose we are, knowing that we have prepared ourselves for the situation or for the environment. And even if we don't know exactly what to do, that we have enough experience, enough resilience, enough strength, enough intellectual agility to be able to handle it. And what happens, I think, over time is, especially if you are in toxic work environments, you begin to be less and less able to count on yourself in really tough situations. You begin to think you're crazy. You begin to think that you're not capable. You begin to believe all that craziness that someone else is projecting onto you because of their failures or their gaps in knowledge or simply their ego or nefarious intentions because their agenda is to hurt everyone in order to support themselves, right? That has nothing to do with you, but the impact is significant. And I've said that before. We may have good intentions, but sometimes good intentions have a bad impact. And sometimes these folks are so self-focused self-focused, that they don't even recognize that what they have done is create a significant negative impact on those people they are supposed to be leading. And so as I read this book and finished reading it and started thinking about all of you in Mental Health Awareness Month, it hit me that as I work with my clients and as I think through some of the things that they are working through to determine what their next move is going to be, whether or not they should stay in their current role or look for a different role or go out in entrepreneurship or move into nonprofit, all of these things that happen as you go through a career flow. So those of you who are earlier in your career, please start thinking about it as a career flow, not a career path. It's not always straight, so give yourself some opportunity to learn and grow and move and adapt. As I started thinking about all of my clients and the conversations that we've had, a key thing came up, which was often once I'm having a conversation with them, they have stopped being able to count on themselves. My clients have stopped being able to rely on their gut instinct, to rely on whether or not they're really seeing what they think they're seeing because someone else is telling them they're crazy. They're negating their experience. Oh, that's not what they meant. Oh, you know what? I'm sure that's not what happened. That kind of passive aggressive. I don't want to acknowledge the systemic challenges that we have here, right? All of that madness that many of us have gone through. And that deep little point that starts to happen that is almost like a snag in our psyche. And someone starts to pull that, right? And so as you think about even Berber carpet, I used to love Berber carpet, but people always said, oh, be careful of Berber because you get one snag and the whole thing starts to unravel, right? Somebody gets that little snag in your confidence, that little snag in your ability to count on yourself, and they start pulling that thread. They start pulling that thread. And the next thing you know, you have got half yourself completely unraveled because someone else has decided to unravel you. They saw a little snag and decided to grab that thread and hold on to it. And I know I'm beating that metaphor to death, but I'm visual. And that's what it feels like when I'm working with my clients is these are confident, competent, highly intellectual, highly capable individuals who have gotten to a place where they're thinking, it must be me. What is going on? What is going on? I just don't understand. And on the one hand, what got you there won't get you to the next place, right? We all have to learn and adapt and grow. On the other hand, while we do have to examine our situation and say, is this really me? Because maybe there's some things I need to adjust. Oftentimes it's really not us. There's something in the environment. There's something that has changed. There's something that makes it no longer a fit, whether that is a new boss, a different team, a different project, whatever it is, something has adjusted that is beginning to no longer be a fit, to no longer enable us to show up as our full selves, to be confident, to be competent, to be able to learn, and to be free to be a beginner, right? When you are promoted, when you're getting into a new role, when you're doing something new, there's a freedom that you need to be able to grow into that role, to learn something new, to be able to have some failures, to make some mistakes, learn from those and do something different. And we've created these corporate cultures where mistakes are career ending. And there are some things that are absolutely career limiting, right? And career ending. But beyond, theft and harassment and all of that kind of egregious stuff, mistakes are going to happen and innovation happens in the mistakes. But when we are in environments where we can no longer start to count on ourselves and give ourselves credit and give ourselves an ability to know that we are not perfect, but we are confident and competent enough to learn from the mistakes we made, not make those same mistakes again, but use that learning to do something different. That's the strength that we have. That's where growth is. That's where leadership is. Because when we can count on ourselves and we show up that way, we enable others to count on us. They can count on our transparency. They can count on our integrity. They can count on us telling them the truth. They can count on us letting them in to the entire vision so that they understand how they fit into that vision. They can count on us. But that starts with us being able to count on ourselves. The mantra I've given to you guys several times is, and that I have here taped to my computer, trust yourself. Trust yourself. In this moment, you are enough. In this moment, you have all that you need. We have to be able to count on ourselves. We can't let someone else's issues discredit our resiliency, discredit our mindset, discredit our capability and our genius. Now, we have those moments where we have to work on those things ourselves, and we have to make sure we're motivated, and we have to make sure we're moving forward, and we have to give ourselves grace when we just don't have the ability or capability or the whatever to be able to make it happen that day. We have to give ourselves pause sometimes. But underlying all of that has to be an ability to count on ourselves. So as we enter Mental Health Awareness Month, and we really think about all of the things that are weighing upon us as the world has just shifted dramatically, not only politically, but also from this global pandemic, which hopefully will be moving into an endemic soon. Really take some time to give yourself the gift of supporting and managing and working on your own mental health, mental and emotional, your psychological well-being. Giving yourself the gift of seeking help if you need that. Being aware of those folks around you, and if you see something, say something. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline, and actually they call themselves the Lifeline, which I love. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline will have a new number starting July 16th, 2022. And it is a true emergency number. It is going to be 988. So they worked really hard over the last few years to make it really easy if you are in crisis to be able to get the help that you need. So the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline on July 16th, the 800 number still works, but on July 16th, there will be a quick dial number 988 so that if you see something, say something. If you feel something, call the number. You are worth it. You can count on you. And in that counting on you means counting on your ability to say, I can't do this alone and I need some help. Know that I am standing with you. I support you, and I am wishing you extreme success beyond anything you could even imagine. I'm wishing you health. I'm wishing you happiness. I'm wishing you contentment, and I'm wishing you tons of grace. Have a fantastic week. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning into the Rutledge Perspective. If you feel so inclined, please pass this along to someone who may need it. Just a little word of encouragement today. Also, I would love and really appreciate you giving a review and a 5-star rating on whatever platform you are listening to the podcast. Have a fantastic rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. You have been listening to the Rutledge Perspective podcast. Thank you so much for downloading and for connecting. You can find previous episodes of the podcast on my website at laurelrutledge.com/podcast. You can also find me on social media at Laurel K. Rutledge and/or The Rutledge Perspective. And I'd love your perspective on the things we talk about. And if there's a specific topic you want me to cover, just let me know. And please share this podcast with someone in your village who may need this little piece of perspective today. And if you're so inclined, I would really appreciate a 5-star rating and review on the platform of your choice. Apple Podcasts and Spotify reviews are particularly helpful. Thank you again for listening. Take care.